If you wanna say it loud, 'cause someone out there listening. If you're gonna think it, think out loud, 'cause you don't know what you're missing till you let them all in. Oh, oh, oh. Tell them what it's all about. Oh, oh, oh.
You're listening to the Divorce Registry podcast, talking about real people, real issues, and real solutions.
I'm Jonathan Fogel, a family law attorney.
And I'm Amanda Johnson, a family law paralegal. This is the Divorce Registry podcast, where we provide informative, entertaining, and invaluable insights into all aspects of family law. You can reach us at thedivorceregistry@gmail.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook.
Amanda and I are partners at work and in life. We are both divorced, and we have 5 kids between the two of us. Some call it chaos. We just call it family.
We call it chaos too.
Yeah, you're right.
The signs say you'll be coming up roses soon. It all comes back to you. It all comes back to you.
Are we having eye issues this morning?
Something all of a sudden got in my eye, like some dust or something. I don't know what happened there.
Okay.
Sorry. Thanks for pointing that out,
I think
though.
it's just a podcast.
Yes, thank God, except it's on video.
I know.
Yeah, I'll try to look this way, so, this is my better side anyway. You can't see my face with all the beard anyway.
Oh,
so,
geez.
That's all right. I'm going to see how long I can grow it. What do you think?
You know my answer.
You love it. You want it to go longer.
We should have a vote.
No.
People should, on the divorce registry,
No.
you know how you do those yes or no answer?
Yes,
yes, we're
surveys?
going to do yeah, that's what it is. We're going to do a survey about if Jonathan should cut his, not off, but
I think, please vote no, because I enjoy this.
We're losing your
This took
chin.
me a whole week to grow this out.
No.
Okay, maybe longer.
No.
All right. All right. Well, anyway, enough about my facial hair. Let's talk about your facial hair. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Not that I've seen any, just so you know,
Thank
for
you.
those people that are listening. But hello, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Episode, I don't know if this is going to be 11 or 12. I don't know what it's going to be, but we're right up there. We're almost to a dozen now,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
Yeah, learned a lot.
Yeah, we've learned a lot. I've learned a lot, and hopefully the people that have been listening have learned a lot as well.
Yeah.
And today we are going to learn a lot during this episode.
Yeah.
Because we have a guest, Jai Kissoon, who is the president and CEO of Our Family Wizard. Anybody that has been divorced, thinking about divorce, going through divorce, knows people that are going through divorce, have probably heard about Our Family Wizard. And if they haven't, they need to hear about it. It is a online tool, and also I think there's an app. I'm almost positive there's an app, and Jai will tell us about the app, for really conflict-free parenting. I've known Jai since, I think, before they even started Our Family Wizard years and years ago, and it is a tool for helping understanding parenting schedules, for managing shared expenses, for sharing vital family information like medical records, things like that. So it's a secure site. It helps to simplify requests for parenting time exchanges, keeps track of those things so people can't go and change it. Right. It has calendars that you can share. I'm sure I'm only scratching the surface of what this tool can provide. So I want to bring Jai on because we have a lot to talk about. So Jai, welcome to the program. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the video's on. So maybe just move that so it's not sitting right in front of your face. There we go. Perfect. How's that? Okay, good. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. This is like a real studio.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Did you think we were going to be in my basement?
Well, I do a lot of them on the phone.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
different when you're just kind of meandering around your office. So this is exciting. I feel like, a studio.
Yeah, right? Like professional.
Yeah, it's real.
I know.
This is real.
This is all for our egos.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Well, it's working for mine.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Good. Well, we'll have the video up, and people can see it on our Facebook page. We'll share it with you, and then when the episode comes out, we'll make sure that we get that out there as well. But I think this is a fantastic tool. Like I said, I've known you. I can't remember when this first. So why don't you just tell us, when did Our Family Wizard start? What was the brainchild behind this?
So we started back in 2001. Actually, my mom is a divorce attorney, as you know.
Yep.
That's how I met you originally. But it was actually her cousin, who's a divorced dad, got remarried to a woman who was also previously divorced that had a child through an open adoption. And basically, they went to go plan their first Christmas together, Paul and his ex. And Paul said, I'll take this week. She said, I'll take that week. And a simple miscommunication about whether a week meant 5 days or 7 days led to them booking trips that overlapped with each other. And so that was kind of where his brainchild came from. He's like, this is back when we were in AOL days. So
Right, the dial-up.
Yeah, we're in a technology age now. We have CDs with information, And so he reached out to my mom just because she was a divorce attorney and said, is there anything out there? And she looked around, couldn't find anything, and called me up because she's not really a tech person, to look around. And the one thing we noticed is even still to this day, there's a lot of stuff developed for businesses and a lot of stuff developed for individuals, but there's not a lot of great technology tools built specifically for families. And so I was finishing up my last year of college at the University of Minnesota, graduated in April or May of 2001, and basically wrote the business plan for the website as like my senior paper.
So cool.
Graduated.
Sorry, it didn't work out well.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Yeah. Well, and that was actually one of the great ironies is one of my professors that graded that paper was a venture capitalist and a divorced dad. And, after I did my presentation, he said, I'm a venture capitalist and a divorced dad, and I just don't see this working.
Oh, my,
People aren't
that's
gonna do it."
hilarious.
No, the best. The
Have you gone
hilarious
back
part
and
is
talked to him since?
Actually, 3 years later, he called me to his class and invited me to speak, and I thought this was really weird. Well, it turned out he'd actually gotten court ordered to use the website.
Oh, my God.
So it was like one of the greatest moments of vindication, personal vindication for me in my
Did you
life.
say, you know what, I don't think it'll work out for me?
Yeah, no. I showed up. I just wanted to see how this was all going to go down. So, it was pretty funny. But yeah, we developed the kind of alpha and beta versions back then, launched it. We did immediately a pilot program with the Hennepin County courts where we basically said, give us your worst families. So the people that were back in court week after week fighting over mom didn't do this, dad didn't do that. They called them the repeat offenders. They got put onto our site. There's a group of about 200 families. We got about 40 of them. And of the 40, basically for 2 years, not a single family came back to court.
Wow.
And that, part of it was with the way the court orders were written, that this was going to be the only truly accepted form of communication. You can email and text, but that's not going to count per se.
Sure.
And so finally, after 2 years, the judge called us up and said, look, we have to tell you we had our first family come back, but it was because one of the parents stopped using the site, basically, was the gist of it. And so kind of armed with that success, we were able to build a really strong referral network. And, now we have, I want to say, lawyers, mediators, therapists, judges even, that refer to us in all 50 states, all the provinces of Canada, the UK, Australia, and we actually have people that use us from 35 different countries because we have a lot of military families.
Okay. Oh, sure.
And actually we launched a military discount a way long time ago because we were seeing so many families that were facing deployments have this become an issue, just co-parenting, whether they were planning their leaves. Or,
And not necessarily because they disagreed.
No.
But because
the
just
stress
calendaring.
of being gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because originally was it for, because I remember, it was mostly at the beginning for calendaring and communication,
Yep.
right? That was kind of what it was limited to at the beginning.
Well, and the great irony is when we first started this, we were going to go after what we called the kumbaya families, the people that didn't want to fight. They wanted to get it together and just move on and work past it. And what we found out is those people typically can kind of get by via text and email because they can call each other and not have a lot of animosity and, they're past it and they just want to move forward. And really what we've seen is families more in the high conflict to mid-conflict area are the ones that truly were the ones that were benefiting the most. And so that's where we actually now see, I would say probably 50-60% of our families are usually stipulating to it on their own or actually being ordered to it through a court order, where they're actually agreeing to it in mediation or, through the court process because one of the big reasons why the site will succeed is if both parents are committed to using it. And so, like a long time ago, we got rid of our monthly account and just went to a straight yearly subscription because we were seeing too many parents playing games with signing up and unsigning up and signing up and unsigning up. And this really is about committing to your kids and deciding that you want to, bury all of the nonsense and at least deal with the other parent in terms of like all of the responsibilities and information that needs to be shared, putting that first. And, it's just too easy to write that 3-paragraph, 3-page email that has all the kind of buried little jabs and whatever in
Yeah.
it. And
Can
so,
we talk about that?
Yeah.
Can we
Yeah.
talk about? I would need you to explain more about the tone meter because
Yeah.
I know nothing about this, but I saw it on your website.
Yeah, so I want to say probably about 7 years ago, we partnered with this company out of Canada that had developed this semantic analysis. And now you're starting to see this in a lot of different apps where they're actually trying to scrub conversations and get pieces of information about how people are communicating. And so we actually, as people are writing messages, we didn't want to use it as a litigatory tool. And so we only do it on the sending side. So as you're sending a message, this thing will actually scan what you're writing and will flag phrases and sentences as aggressive, humiliating, concerning, whatever it may be, so that we want to provide that kind of pump the brakes, the yield sign, so that you might want to think about what you're sending.
Does a message come up saying like, "Are you sure you want to say that?" Or
Yeah.
how does that work?
Well, it's called tone meter, and so it literally has a little meter that goes up
wow.
with like how much stuff it's flagging within that.
The
conversation.
higher the decibel level,
Yep.
the worse the tone
And
is.
it's not just a word.
No,
like
it's whole phrases. I'll tell you
Wow.
what, like doing the QA on this was one of the most fun things we ever did in the company. Sit around with a 6-pack of beer and like type in offensive stuff and see if it gets flagged or not.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it was pretty fun.
That sounds
Wow,
fun.
that's great. And so that's a great tool
Yep.
for people.
Yep.
And look, I work with clients and sometimes I've had clients that
They
have
send us
said
stuff.
they have said, "Hey, can I send you all my emails before I send them out?"
Yep.
And I say, "Yes, but that gets really expensive, right? Every email I have to review."
Yep.
And so sometimes people they learn a lot quicker
Yep.
than others.
Yep.
Some don't ever learn how to send the right email, but that tone meter can help them, and they can still override it, I take it,
Definitely.
and send it anyway.
Yep.
But
But
it-
sometimes you need to send that message. We try to discourage it. And I mean, one of the big things I think our site does, as opposed to just using email or text messages, that I think a lot of families have benefited from is you hear a lot in the parenting ed classes about like if you send an email, only have one purpose per message so that you don't get convoluted and lose track of the actual discussion. Try to keep it real short. Like I had a judge tell me once, he tells all of his clients, never send anything bigger than your first knuckle. Just because
just you lose something afterward.
Exactly. The more words are in there, the more words there are to be misinterpreted.
Well, and it's not a tone. You're not. Part of the reason is to point out to them, hey, settle down. You're saying bad things, but it's also, hey, settle down. This can be used against you.
Yep,
right.
exactly.
I mean,
Yep.
all of this is printable.
Yep. And that's actually the biggest feature of the site is the level of documentation we provide compared to like email, text, or even other the services that try to work in our space. We track every time something's created, when it's viewed, when it's edited, when it's deleted. Nothing is ever really deleted. We can recreate any records. And so the level of documentation is immense. And kind of where I was going with the email conversation, though, is like we really want to pull people out of messaging. Messaging is not a great platform for communication. If you have soccer practice next Wednesday, why not create an event? If you're trying to trade weekends, why not have a tool that actually changes the parenting time and keeps that historically recorded without all the back and forth? It's just simple. Here's the days that I'm looking for. Here's the days I'm willing to trade. And a respond by date, which acts as an offer like expiration because you need to book airline tickets by
Right.
a certain time or whatever.
So tell our listeners how the calendaring works, because I explain this to people all the time, but I want you to explain it. That how do you set up a shared calendar, and then how does it work if someone wants to change a date? Well, how does the color change of that sort of thing?
Yeah, and so as I mentioned at the beginning, my mom is like non-tech oriented. For the first 10 years of the company, I had to fax her everything because she didn't know how to do email attachments. She's come a long way now. She can attach stuff. But we've developed with all that in mind, that our users are not
For the
necessarily
non-tech savvy.
Yep. And so everything's very point and click. The other side of it too that I take great pride in is actually we have great customer support. So whether you're emailing us or you call us on our toll-free number, we have dedicated people that actually are based here in Minnesota and answer the phone and help you through your problem. I'm not a big fan of like the Comcasts of this world where you get transferred to 8 different departments before you can get your situation resolved. Every one of our support people is like well-trained in everything on the site. And so there's not that moving around.
Sure.
And, there's obviously certain things only managers can do, but for the most part, you call, you get a resolution right away. But anyway, as I digress, the calendar basically, there's multiple levels, and this is where it is really different than, say, your Google Calendar or just your Apple Calendar. So you have the ability to create events just like you would on a regular calendar, But in addition, you have the ability to set up your parenting schedule. And so this is the repeating pattern. It's usually for a lot of families every other week type of situation where mom and dad, it might be every other weekend and Wednesdays, or depending on if it's a 50-50 split, there's more time there. But you can basically set it up. It's just a simple grid where you go through, click Mom's Day, Dad's Day, Mom's Day, Dad's Day, whatever it may be. Set that cycle, and then
And
you
it
put
kind of extrapolates it out.
and it builds it out up until perpetuity. And so, if you want to see what happens on spring break of next year on the base
wow.
parenting schedule, you just jump in and you can do that. In addition to the parenting schedule, you have the ability to set up holidays. And so, holidays like Mother's Day, you may always want to be Mom's Day, and Father's Day, Dad's Day. In addition, like say you're doing like a summer camp or something like that, where you're going to be affecting the parenting schedule, but you don't want to like mess with your base schedule.
Right.
You can just go in and create a holiday, and that'll actually supersede what the
Okay,
normal
so you kind of have
schedule.
these levels. They
Yep.
overlay each other.
Yep. And then the top level of that is the trade function, which is actually our patented feature. And so basically, if I had to leave town this weekend to take the kid or to go on a work vacation or work trip or whatever, I could say to Mom, "Hey, Mom, I need to be gone this weekend. Will you take the kids? If you take them this weekend, I'll take them in 2 weeks." And Mom can either approve, refuse, or refuse to make a counteroffer. And as I mentioned before, this has an expiration on this offer so that you can know that if a decision has been made by a certain point, you can move forward in a different direction. But then once that is done, the parenting colors will all shift in the schedule to represent the right time and color and all that good stuff.
So each parent is kind of assigned a color.
Yep. And each parent defines their own colors.
Okay.
That was
You don't-
actually in
That's
year
good.
one. We found out that one parent will make the other parent puke brown, and
Oh,
yeah,
jeez.
the bigger lesson was don't offer puke brown as one of the colors.
Yeah, I
but-
was going to say maybe you shouldn't offer
yeah.
that color.
But yeah, no, everything is fully customizable.
Or
for
jerk
each
orange
parent.
or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know what that would be, but
Yeah. So yeah, everything's fully customizable for each parent. So you can do whatever you want, and that doesn't affect the other parent.
sure. And then I take it, I know one of the features that I see quite a bit is you can see if someone has read a message.
Yep.
Because look, I know the tool wasn't set up for litigation purposes, but it does help us as far as practitioners where I can say, okay, send the message on Our Family Wizard or send this. We can see that the person opened it and never responded. And then I can call the other attorney or I can tell the judge, look, my client did what they were supposed to do. They sent it. The other person read it, never responded. So it shows that pattern of non-cooperation. Or the other side is that they've opened it and responded right away.
Yep. A lot of people tend to get really worked up about over-participation when you have a parent that's like trying to steamroll the relationship, but non-participation by the other parent can be just as damaging, to the child, because if they're not showing up to things and they don't know about things and they're always claiming the other parent's the one responsible. I mean, a great example is parent-teacher conferences. A lot of court orders or like judgment decrees will actually write in, if you're the parent that's being notified about this, you're supposed to tell the other parent within 14 days of when the event is to occur, or
Right.
whatever it may be. Well, now, as you mentioned, you have this very clear history now of here's when it was created, here's when it was viewed,
Right.
it was never responded to, whatever. It's
But
all,
I satisfied my obligation. I've
Yep.
even had court orders that have said all that stuff has to be put on Our Family Wizard.
Yep.
We've entered into those stipulated agreements, or the court has said you guys are going to use Our Family Wizard, and I don't want to hear anymore that if you're the parent that is in charge of that stuff, that you don't have to tell them. Just put it on Our Family Wizard. You don't have to call the other person and make sure they're there. Just put it on the shared calendar, and then the other person has the responsibility to check that calendar.
Yep. I mean, and that's the coolest part about the whole system is the more both parents participate, the better the family data is. And so, when we first, when I was doing customer support, this is probably 10 years ago now, I had a dad call me up over right after school had started, and he was all excited because he was able to go school shopping and didn't have to call his ex and deal with that conversation about like what a bad parent he is because he doesn't know little Johnny's shoe size or, whatever it may be. And so this way, it's just empowering to have that information. Actually, we just had our first kid who grew up with Our Family Wizard, turn 18, is going to college, and was wondering how he can transform his account to move forward with life because now he has his whole medical history.
Oh, wow.
All of, everything that he grew up with, shoe sizes, when he turned 5'3", when he turned 5'6".
It's a memory book.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're creating a memory
It's kind
book.
of a sick memory
Yeah,
book.
it is.
But
Well, tell me about that medical feature because I mentioned that in the opening here that it's a secure site.
Yep.
So people can put in medical records.
Yep.
They can share No longer that idea of, well, I need the health insurance card. You can share that information through there.
You can even share the actual card itself. We have a section within our info bank called My Files where they can scan in class photos, permission slips, the insurance cards, even copies of the judgment decree, any court orders, mediated agreements. All that stuff is stored kind of like Dropbox, but just for the family. We have a number of different sections. So health information, we have family vitals like shoe size, height, weight, pant size, any other clothing sizes. The kids, if they immunization histories, medical histories, if they have medical procedures, medical incidents. And we're actually in the process now of becoming fully HIPAA compliant because we have a lot of mental health professionals that want to work with their clients more through our site.
Oh,
and
wow.
They have to kind of skirt some things because of HIPAA. So, yeah, that's one of our big impetuses to get underway, in 2019. So,
wow. My ex and I communicate by text and email, and we exchange time freely. Like, we're one of those people that it just works.
Yep.
But listening to this, like, we're constantly, he'll buy shoes for my son, and then down the road, I'm like, oh, wait, what shoe size did you get? And now we're sending that, and to have it in one place, I mean, that's simple information.
Yep. And that's why when we started,
selling me.
When we started, we just thought this is something people would want to do just out of convenience.
Right.
And so it's interesting how you find yourself in the niche that you're in. But my goal as the CEO is to grow the site and make it more relevant. And we actually, it's amazing now that we've been doing this for almost 20 years, the number of different uses that people have actually used it for. We have actually doctors down at the Mayo that refer clients to use it where they flip the roles and they have basically the mom sign up as a kid and the kid sign up as a parent, and they use it to track who's taking mom to the hospital, who's picking up her prescription, who's going to get, groceries, all that kind of stuff. We also have been doing some work where we're looking at working in the juvenile justice area because you have foster kids that jump between homes and all these records just disappear because they're paper.
And like you said, the idea of beginning was for parents that got along, and then it kind of maybe
the market
transformed into parents that don't get along. But I think about, as you're talking about this, I'm like, my kid's mom and I, we're the same way. We talk on the phone. We do a really good job of trading time and things like that. But I was thinking the other day, I'm like, I forgot to give her the insurance cards. I could have just scanned them in and put them in there. Or, today we went to talk to my daughter's school counselor and got some information. Instead of putting a whole text together, I could have put that information in there. She gave us a printout of some college information. I could scan that in and get it to her that way. It doesn't have to be for parents that aren't getting along. It could actually be a great tool for even people that are married.
I was going to say,
it doesn't have to be people that are divorced.
Yep. Definitely. Obviously, we've got to stick with the niche that we're in.
Yeah.
But, it does have, dramatic relevance to a whole lot of portions of life. Because at the end of the day, not everything needs to be on Facebook or Twitter,
What do you mean? It doesn't happen unless I put it on Facebook.
Talking to the wrong person.
Hey, come on now.
I'm just saying, there needs to be a safe space for families to be able to share this kind of stuff and not have to worry about it. And the big benefit with Our Family Wizard is you can piecemeal a lot of this stuff. Like, you can use Google Docs for certain things, and you can use messaging through Gmail or text, and you can use the calendar, whether it's Apple Calendar, Gmail. There are different ways to do it, but the value in having this stuff just together.
Right. But you don't sign up a la carte. You sign up for the whole thing.
Yep.
But then you can choose, okay, we don't need this feature, but this feature is really helpful for us.
And I would say that's probably when you look at our usage patterns. Like, most families will really latch on to probably 2 or 3 features out of the 5 and use those kind of exclusively. But yeah, we do, one of the things is we've worked with so many families for so long that there's a lot of things that we've just had to figure out. There's a lot of business rules that go into how families can interact with each other. Like, for instance, on the calendar, neither parent can go back and backdate stuff or edit anything historical. You can only work forward.
Okay.
And so it's meant to be a moving forward tool. We have another feature called the journal that allows you to go back then and record, like, little Johnny hit his first, home run, or it could be not the positive stuff.
Right.
It could be parent was late for pickup or whatever. It depends on, again, what is your relationship. And we just try to create the framework. We're not trying to tell you how to do it because every family is unique.
Yeah, of course. And then tell me about, there's also, I think a big feature on this is really helpful is the expense logging.
Yeah.
Right? We get a lot of cases where this person's ordered, most of the time people are ordered to share in expenses in some way, whether it's extracurricular activities, whether it's medical, dental. The court orders have them sharing that some way, whether it's 50-50 or some other percentages. But you guys have a feature where they can enter that in, and it creates a log and even adds up the total, and people can even pay through the site. Is that right?
Yeah. So the expense log, you pretty much nailed it. Not much to add to that. Basically, a parent enters the expense. They can create custom categories. So it could be, say, you might even split medical stuff 50-50, but mom or dad's agreed to pay extra for whatever extracurricular activity because they're super into it, whether it's soccer or dance or whatever it may be. So maybe that's 70-30 or 64 or whatever. You can. So you enter the category, the amount, it automatically calculates the split. You can attach a receipt file.
That's what I was going to say. You can scan in receipts because some
now with the
orders...
mobile app, you just take a picture of the receipt with your phone, and it's right there. And so it keeps it really simple. And that file will then get uploaded to my files, so it's there for both parents to have. And then they create the expense, or basically a request goes to the other parent. Do you approve or refuse this request? If a receipt wasn't attached, the parent can request a receipt get attached.
Because some court orders say you have to have a receipt.
Yep. And then once it's approved, they can then either pay outside the system, so you can send a check or pay cash or however you're going to do it outside. Or we have what we call OFW pay, where basically ACH payment, one parent to the other. And the nice thing with that is that you're not having that conversation about the checks in the mail and the parent sending it also knows that like on this date the other parent received it, so they also can't make the claim that I never got the money.
Right. And then I imagine, does the site also then track the payment? If you pay it through OFW pay, let's say the log has this parent owes $100, they pay the $100, then all of a sudden it shows that it's paid. So that's really nice.
And if they pay outside the system, we have a process for that too, where you say you paid it, and then the parent can basically confirm that they received that payment. So it does that same action.
So I cannot stress enough for the listeners of people going through divorce and they have us as attorneys.
Don't bang on the table.
Sorry.
You're so passionate.
Sorry. I'm very no. But what will happen is if people are not taking care of this stuff and is organized with it on their own, like through a system like this with the receipts and the payment, that's where we come in and you give us a pile of your stuff and we have to sit there and bill you per hour to try to figure it all out. And it gets really, trust me, we're happy to do it. It's how we make our money. But it doesn't have to go that way. I'd rather not too, but I'm saying that they have control over that. And this is a great tool for that.
And when we first came out, we had a lot of attorneys that were actually concerned about like, oh, is this just going to make my billables disappear? And it's like, no, it's going to allow you to work with more people more effectively because instead of chasing little Johnny's soccer cleats that got forgotten, you're on the phone calling, mom calls her lawyer who calls dad's lawyer who calls dad, then dad's lawyer calls dad. It just, that whole chain, you're going to spend $1,000 to find out where the cleats are.
Right.
Versus just having a documented message. It just keeps it very clear. The other thing that is worth mentioning too is that we've been talking about everything kind of as one account, and the reality is we actually have 4 different account levels, and so the children have their own accounts, and so they don't see any of that animosity between the parents.
Oh, but they can log on as well.
But they can log in and see, is this my night to be at mom's house or dad's house? Is this next weekend? When's my next event? They can leave journal notes and, hey, I had a great soccer game, hit my first home run, so that both parents can see that. Well, I suppose they wouldn't be playing soccer and hit a home run, but whatever. You can tell I'm a super big
my kid probably would.
I'm a super big sports guy,
They can play soccer and hit a home run in a different sport.
The sport ball, you know. Anyway. But we also have accounts for third parties, so rather than a lot of times what parents used to do is they would have their new spouse or their new partner log in as them into the site. And so we actually launched a third-party account so that the step-parent, the grandparent, whomever can actually communicate directly through the site. It gets recorded as being by them. And so it just, and both the children and the third parties have limited account functionality. And then we have a whole nother level of access for the professionals.
I was going to ask about that. You have professional, because I've had that too, where it feels kind of voyeuristic, I have to say, when I'm doing it as a professional. But I always like to tell the clients, if you're going to allow me to do that, we let both people know that the attorneys or the mental health professionals or a lot of times the custody evaluators or the parenting consultants have access to it because it's really crucial for them to be able to see how that's going.
And where it's really tremendously helpful. So like I've actually had judges tell me they've been in their courtroom. Mom will say she did something. Dad will say that they did something. And they literally, because they have projection systems in a lot of courtrooms now, they'll just bring up the website and the judge will say, show me.
And that's when you have the guy go, Well, yeah.
I mean, and really what we do more than anything is like a lot of the hearsay back and forth about mom didn't do this, dad didn't do that is easily avoided because you're not looking through which version of the truth is closest to reality. It's like, here's what happened, at least chronologically speaking. Here's when it happened, how it happened, and it just cuts out. I mean, there's just no need. The other thing, too, is like in terms of preparing for trial, how many people will selectively provide their professionals with selective emails?
Yes, or half the text messages.
Yep, exactly. And the ones that make them look like they're the victim or, here's all the bad stuff happening to me. Right. And they didn't show you the whole other part of the conversation and put it in context. And so for the professionals, too, another big benefit is they can actually, as you said, like they bring in all these big bankers boxes of stuff. Instead of having to dig through the box, like the professional can just go through, say, I want to print this, and everything is printable, comes out as a really nice looking PDF report for 8.5 by 11. It just makes the professional a lot more effective. And so they can just work with the families. And instead of chasing down, like I said, the cleats, they're actually solving like, what's going to happen for spring break, or how are you guys going to handle one of the parents want to move out of district or something like that.
Right. And you have mobile apps for pretty much all.
Yeah, all devices, Android, iOS, they're all natively written. So you get, all the benefits of what Apple and Google put into their technology. And, we don't reinvent the wheel, but we try to, make it work a little bit better.
Right. And so people don't have to go back and get onto their computer. If I have my smartphone with me, I can jump on Our Family Wizard right there. If I'm at the doctor's office and I have to pay a $40 copay, I can literally take a picture of it right there, log it in, and be done with it. And that 10 seconds that it takes to do that, like you said, Amanda, can save hours of time of an attorney trying to recreate what happened a year later or 6 months later.
I mean, and the other thing, too, is like outside of divorce, generally speaking, you have one family member that's really great at data records and family, all the scheduling, all that stuff that happens, and you have another one that has different responsibilities. And so as soon as you try to divide that between two households, it makes a very unique dynamic because now you have a person who's never done anything like putting an event on the schedule or even carrying a schedule. They now have to participate. And if they, and that's just it, is like the more you participate, the better the kids will be. And the more you can participate in a way that doesn't ostracize the other parent, everybody wins.
Right. Yeah. And if anything, it's teaching better parenting, right? I mean, it's the idea that, like you said, I mean, if I'm forced to calendar and pay attention and look at their records and find out what's going on, the kids are benefiting, but I'm benefiting because then I'm getting a better relationship with my kids and knowing what's going on. So
I was listening to you talk in another one of your episodes, and you don't ever want to take away the other parent's superhero status. Right. Like the kid only is going to have their parents, and what they think of their parents is going to be a direct reflection on how they feel about themselves. And so the more that they can have Superman and Wonder Woman on both sides, the more everybody wins.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Again, these episodes go way too quick. I know. So I appreciate so much you coming in. And Jai, the website is ourfamilywizard.com. Is that right?
Yep.
We'll put it on our Facebook page and direct people there. And thank you so much for taking the time to come over here and talk to about this. This is great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks,
this has been fun.
Thanks.
The information in this podcast was for general purposes only. The information provided was not legal advice or a legal opinion. You should seek the advice of legal counsel of your own choice before acting upon any information from this podcast. Contacting us by phone or any other means does not establish an attorney-client relationship.